I used to hear these stories kind of. Can I just tell you one? Years later, I came in at the point where John Conroy was sort of looking for women to come into the union at the top level. Women to attend meetings even. And he called the women's staff together and he said, what do you suggest, since you're a woman, kind of thing? You can't deny it, was more or less the theme of it. What do you think would draw them in? And we went off to think about it, and we're all typists now, and whatever kind of admin level and head office kind of people said immediately, nothing to do with us, we're 9 to 5. And the rest of us sort of said, well, what will we do? And the first thing to do was to have a conference of some kind, you know, or bring in somebody else, more or less, to tell us. So we put that we should have a seminar of some kind, and the what is now called the college, which was kind of teaching service in the union, the fellow came up with a speaker. Well, it was 2 speakers, I think, but the one that had the most clout, I think, funnily enough, was an almoner in the Rotunda Hospital. And what she said was, you're all here working in this building, now this is the new building, and you're well off, you've good jobs, you have a settled community, and you owe to the older people whose pennies gave you that, to give them something back. And we came away from that meeting and said, she's perfectly right, so what can we do? So we said, right, we'll have a Christmas party for the retired members, and if you had 20 years membership of the union and retired or whatever, you became a retired member on their books. So we started off to sort of put together the idea and went back to John Conroy and put it to him, and I never forget the shock. What he said was, how are you going to pay for it? Which we assumed he would. And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go half and half, which is what you raise. I'll match. So we saw that as a challenge, and we went off, and they had bingo every Friday night for the old timers kind of thing in Liberty Hall, and we got prizes from the different branches, and every Friday night for weeks we went and sold tickets, raffle tickets, and got a certain amount of money back, and came back to John Conroy and said, there, that's what we've got. And he said, in fairness to him, I'll match it and give it a bit more, but how are you going to do the next bit? And this is the bit kind of that people don't believe that it could happen, but it actually did happen. I can't remember now dates are not something I'm good at, but we sat down and said, yeah, well, the first thing to do is get the numbers right. That's the branches of all to sort of give their numbers in the branch, who they are, where they're living, and get out notices to them. And we'd have to do it kind of early-ish in December. And how are we going to do the catering? We'd have to get support from the hotel branch. And we worked on that, and I must say it was a fantastic night. The chefs from the hotels came down the day before and cooked 4 turkeys in the kitchen in Liberty Hall, and the smell was driving people berserk. And the bar staff set up a bar and showed the staff from the union how to serve and bring around drink and whatever. And the waitresses and so on put up the catering tables and so on. I always remember this woman who was kind of in charge of the proceedings, you know, all experienced hands, done it a million times, and to us it was the first. And this woman said to me, where's your tablecloths? Of course, we'd never thought of tablecloths. And she thinks for a moment, and then she says, I want an extra pair of hands. So somebody offered, and off they went to a hotel and borrowed sheets in the laundry for the next day, kind of thing. He came back with the sheets, put them on the tables, and suddenly you're in business, kind of thing. They were put back before midnight and washed for the next day. And they all cooperated, and they showed the young ones serving the food then how to do it. And somebody had told me about a group who did a kind of old time music hall thing with full, you know, what did they put it, song, story, dancing or something like that. And they went around hospitals, an amateur group, and I got in touch with them and asked them would they come, and they said, certainly. How big is the stage? I hadn't an idea. I mean, this would be in the social hall in the new building kind of thing. So anyway, on the day, it was absolutely fabulous. The portress put up the decorations the night before, and without being asked. And on the day, everything was sort of being done by the catering people, really. And our first guests were due to arrive at 6 o'clock, but the first ones arrived at 4. And it suddenly became a problem. What do you do if we can't send them home? And I asked the porters, could they sit in their little room and give them a bottle or whatever to keep them happy, and the paper, you know, because they were doing. And it went absolutely fantastically well. And the bit I really started to say was there was very few women, because in the membership of the union there weren't. And there was one woman, and as I was passing she said something, and I came back to her and she said, you know, I have an extraordinary story to tell, which kind of intrigues you, you know. And she says, because I'm a woman who danced with the Countess, which kind of stops you in your tracks. And she said she and her pal were going to a school which supplied a breakfast kind of during 1913. And so they would go off to school early, and they had in their house a meal at least, and then came from school down to Liberty Hall to help with the kitchen. Their mother was involved in it. And as the young one said, the most boring kind of jobs is what they did, like peeling potatoes or going through pots or something, you know, like that. But anyway, her pal was saying to her, but do you know what the most modern dance is? And she was showing her kind of whatever it was in 1913, and the Countess is passing by with a pile of stuff, and she kind of smiles, and when she's coming back she says, oh, you know, I was just looking at you dancing there, but the real dance of all is the waltz. Let me show you. And she starts la 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 and kind of thing, and the women all stop what they're doing and bring it in, kind of like the music, and the two of them step it out, and the Countess is saying, and every third step, dip. That's what her music teacher had shown her. And here's this young one with nothing dancing with her. So she says, that's my claim to fame, I danced. And there was things like that all along that suddenly would hit you.